¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday morning. We've got plenty of stuff to go over, and on top of that, today, yesterday, the third IPCC report was indeed released, and they made an entire press conference, which we will go over. Hey, Yellow King, how's it going? Howdy, howdy. Alright, let me get myself situated here. I think the first story that we need to go over Amazon to ban the word union on its new worker chat app per internal company documents leaked to me, Ken Klippenstein. That's the journalist here. Other banned terms include living wage, slave labor, harassment, and restrooms. Interesting that they would choose those particular words to ban. Amazon will block and flag employee posts on a planned internal messaging app that contain keywords pertaining to labor unions. According to internal company documents reviewed by The Intercept, an automatic word monitor, a filter, if you will, would also block a variety of terms that could represent potential critiques of Amazon's working conditions, like, quote, slave labor, prison, plantation, and restrooms. presumably be related to reports of Amazon employees relieving themselves in bottles to meet punishing quotas. Yeah, this is a thing that has been proven time and time again. It's not like a secret that like conditions in Amazon warehouses are like terrible. That's not a secret. Okay. Hey Mayhem Hippie, how's it going? Would they just not use SMS or Discord then? Yeah, like you gotta go to Discord then if that's the case. Basically what happened here is that they attempted to make some type of kind of company social media, so to speak. And, well, if employees are to be in this company social media, they wouldn't want the employees to get any ideas about like organizing or anything like that. So they their test, I guess their beta version, their beta version included the ability to regulate certain words like unions or, prison, which is very telling. I mean, like, why would you want to ban that? Quote, our teams are always thinking about new ways to help. Jesus. Oh man, the corporate speak over here. Our teams are always thinking about new ways to help employees engage with each other, said Amazon spokesperson Barbara Agrate. This particular program has not been approved yet and may change significantly or never even launch at all. Yeah, that's a nice cop out. This is corporate speak for we got caught, and at the end of the day, it was just we're just memeing. All right, we're just memeing. It may not even come to fruition. Well, now it may not, because you got caught. Because you got caught. The other thing is, in my opinion, I think that they're super salty that they lost their union busting efforts. They spent millions of dollars attempting to stop unionization efforts, and, well, they failed. And they tried stopping unionization efforts, they failed, and now they're big mad. And now they're big mad. In November of 2021, Amazon convened a high-level meeting in which top executives discussed plans to create an internal social media program that would let employees recognize coworkers' performance with posts called shoutouts, according to a source with direct knowledge. The major goal of the program, Amazon's head of worldwide consumer business, David Clark, said was to reduce employee attrition by fostering happiness among workers and also productivity. Hey, you know what would do both of those things? Better working conditions and the ability to unionize without having a massive corporation breathing down your neck. The ability to speak with your coworkers about conditions is incredibly important. Shoutouts would be part of a gamified reward system in which employees. What? Like loot boxes? In which employees are rewarded virtual stars and badges for activities that add direct business value. Wait, so we appreciate you, but in ways that we cannot express with money. We appreciate you, but in ways that we cannot add, increase your wages. Documents state at the meeting, Clark remarked that some people are insane star collectors, but of course that doesn't translate to any wage increase. But company officials also warned of what they called the dark side of the social media and decided to actively monitor posts in order to ensure positive community. And by positive community, they mean subservient workers that don't get any ideas about unionization. At the meeting, Clark suggested that the program should resemble an online dating app like Bumble. What? That's kind of weird. Okay. Which allows individuals to engage one another rather than more of a forum-like platform. Oh, okay. Jesus. More like a platform like Facebook. Following the meeting, an auto-ban word monitor was devised constituting a blacklist that would flag and automatically block employees from sending a message that contains any profane and inappropriate words. Inappropriate keywords. In addition to profanities, however, the terms included many relevant to organized labor, including union, grievance, pay raise. Wait. I thought this was supposed to promote foster. I thought this was designed to foster happiness among workers. Pay raise, compensation. Other banned keywords include terms like ethics, unfair, slave, master. What master? What if you're like a master at your picking aisle or something? I don't know. Treating them like kids. Right. How's it going, Tendera? Freedom. What? Banning terms like freedom? Oh boy. Diversity, injustice, fairness, and even some phrases like, this is concerning, will be banned. What the Oh man. This is a good meme. Anybody tells you that capitalism fosters democracy? That's a good meme. That's a very good meme. Imagine banning things like freedom, injustice, ethics. You know what? I would almost go farther than there. I think this is worse than treating them like kids. If you feel the need to ban terms like slavery or slaves, work slaves, unfair, pay raise, union, compensation, maybe that's a reflection on you. Maybe your employees are trying to tell you something. I mean, I'm just saying, but maybe if you feel the need to ban words like union, freedom, injustice, grievance, unfair, maybe you need to take a quick second for some introspection here, right? maybe it's time for a little bit of introspection if you're feeling the need to ban these words. With free text, we risk people writing shoutouts that generate negative sentiments. Like what? Like being unionized? That's a bit weird. That generate negative sentiments among the viewers and receivers. A document summarizing the program states, quote, we want to lean towards being restrictive on the content that can be posted to prevent a negative associate experience. Okay, but if you're banning things like your ability to unionize, that in and of itself is a negative experience. You can't talk to your coworkers about, well, not through the app anyways, through a social media app that's supposed to connect workers with one another. Associates with one another. Amazon works so hard and spends so much time and money to union bust, it's seriously on another level. Yeah, I mean, they would rather throw the kitchen sink at it than have employees unionize. I mean, literally anything but employees unionizing. In addition to the automated system, managers will have the authority to flag or suppress any shoutouts that they find inappropriate. That's different. Okay? That's different. That is different than automodding, like... That's completely different than automodding, like, certain words like union. A pilot program is slated to launch later this month. In addition to slurs and swear words, the planned list includes the following words. Fine. Like, I understand the automod for, like, slurs and, you know, other stuff that are inappropriate for workplace. But, here's, let's take a look here, yeah? I hate... What? Union. Fire. Terminated. Compensation. Pay raise. Bullying. Wait, but what if you need to... Okay. Harassment. I don't care. Rude. This is concerning. Stupid. This is dumb. Prison. Threat. Petition. Grievance. Injustice. Diversity. Ethics. Fairness. Accessibility. What? Vaccine. Okay. Senior ops. Living wage. Okay. Listen, we can talk about how awesome you are as a human robot and give you like these, you know, praises that don't really translate into any type of pay raise. But don't you dare talk about a living wage. Don't you dare talk about a living wage. Representation. Okay. Unfair. Favoritism. So, like, the most toxic elements of, like, a workplace. You can't talk about. Okay. Rate. TOT. I don't know what TOT is. Unite. Unity. Wait, I thought the whole point was to bring associates together. Wasn't that like the entire idea of it? Like the whole point of you having this pseudo social media app is so that this can happen. Okay. Sure. I just don't understand like why why you would need to why you would need to add that to the you know, to the censorship words. You can't say stuff like unite or unity. So then how are the associates supposed to feel like they work in a team? I mean, you can't simultaneously say that you want a warehouse or I don't know, workplace that works as a team, and then you can't say in the own internal social media app, you can't say the words unity or unite. What about... Okay, that's a good meme. plantation, slave labor, master, concerned. You can't express your concerns. Freedom, because, we don't want to talk about freedom in the workplace, because then that would naturally draw the line. That would ask way too many questions. You start talking about freedom, and it all goes downhill from there, right? You start talking about freedom, and the next thing you know, they'll realize just how unfree they are. You can't have that. Restrooms, because those aren't important. Why would you need to be talking about restrooms in a place that you stay for the majority of your day? Robots. That's a weird one. Trash. Because you wouldn't want your workers describing your place of work as trash. Committee or coalition. Again, nothing inspires unity. Nothing inspires unity like banning the words unity, coalition. This has been a very good meme. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Mind you, this is only the beta test, the leaked version, right? The leaked version. So it's kind of like the it's kind of it's kind of like what they really think in reality, because like even if they never intended to release the app or social media platform in this manner with these words, it's kind of a self-report if like that's where your mentality goes to when you're testing certain aspects of your social media, right? Or you're testing certain filters. It's a bit of a self-report if I had to guess. But I guarantee you their new propaganda campaign will be full of those words. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like you best believe that on the outside, 100% on the outside, they're going to be talking about diversity, fairness, injustice, freedom. 100%. How they care about, diversity and inclusion, things like that. You best believe that on the outside, their PR campaign is going to be full of that. No doubt about it. Hey, Purple Dragon Crew, morning. How's it going? If it does launch at some point down the road, said Amazon spokesperson. All right, here we go. More corporate speak. There are no plans for many of the words you're calling many. Okay. No, just the important ones like unions. To calling out to be screened. The only kind of words that may be screened are the ones that are offensive or harassing. I don't know. Who determines that? Do you think that in the eyes of Amazon, maybe unity, unions, representation, living wage, maybe Amazon finds those offensive or harassing, which is intended to, quote, protect our team. Amazon has experimented with social media programs in the past. In 2018, the company launched a pilot program in which employees were handpicked to form a Twitter army. Oh yeah, remember this one? Advocating for the company. The workers were selected for their, quote, great sense of humor. Yeah, okay. On Friday, Amazon workers at a fulfillment center in Staten Island stunned the nation by becoming the first Amazon location to successfully unionize. Once again, Super props. Super props to the Staten Island folks. This came to a shock because it was achieved by an independent union not affiliated with an established union and operated on a shoestring budget. With a budget of $120,000, the Amazon Labor Union managed to defeat the $1.5 trillion behemoth, which spends $4.3 million on anti-union consultants just in 2021 alone. Wow. I mean, imagine having this much money, 4.3 million, just to stop unionization efforts and still fail. Pretty good in you. We're hanging in there. Imagine spending $4.3 million and still take the L. Nice. Good job. Good job, ALU. Good job, Oh man, I'm gonna forever mess this up. Is it? Oh yeah, no, never mind. It's right here. Christian Smalls. Good job, Christian Smalls. Massive W. The biggest of biggest W's. According to the David and Goliath overtones, the Amazon Labor Union's president, Christian Smalls, a 33-year-old former rapper, had been fired by the company after leading a small walkout calling for better workplace protections. Yeah, imagine... Oh man, this story is great. Imagine being laid off, right? Being laid off or terminated, fired, because you were attempting to bring up a very real concern during the, during the opening salvos of the pandemic, when we didn't have even vaccines, I think, right? I'm not sure, but it was in 2020, and imagine advocating for just better workplace protections, and then being fired, and then coming back to form a union, successfully organize the workers, and successfully win the unionization vote. Now that is one heck of an arc. Now that's one heck of an arc. Yeah, and crickets from MSN. Yeah, it's being covered, but it's not like... It's not too... You can't make too much of a... you can't make too much of a story about it, because then people might get the wrong idea about unionization. We can't have that. Not good. Not good if more people hear about the successes of a union, of a unionization effort. Anyways, we can't talk about it too much, because then people might get the idea that it's possible. That's not good. Amazon executives denigrated Smalls, who is black, as not smart or articulate during a meeting with then CEO Jeff Bezos. Yeah, that's man. I remember seeing that story, and it's like, can you imagine speaking about a employee that you terminated because you got really big mad that they had the audacity to ask for basic workplace protections during a pandemic. You call them not smart or articulate, and then they come back, organize that warehouse, and win. That's one hell of an arc. That's one hell of an arc, that's for sure. If it didn't go against their corporate-led late-stage capitalist hellscape, a movie would surely be already in development. I mean, there are plenty of left-leaning stories that are obviously anti-capitalist, but a documentary on this would be very nice. Because this is one hell of a story, that's for sure. Safety issues have been a perennial concern for Amazon workers. Yeah, I mean, like, this is even before the pandemic. Just to be clear, like, safety concerns and conditions in Amazon warehouses aren't exactly known to be good. When you think of an Amazon warehouse, especially given the stories that have come out, safe is not the word that I would use. I mean, they literally would rather pay to have ambulances staged outside the warehouse instead of fixing or putting air conditioning in their warehouse in case somebody has like a heat related problem. They would much rather have ambulances staged outside than put AC. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this has been a problem even beforehand. Thanks for covering the details on it. No problem. I think this is huge, especially as more and more folks get encouraged to organize. I mean, we're seeing what was happening with the Starbucks workers too. Safety concerns have been a perennial concern for Amazon workers. In December, a tornado killed 6 Amazon employees in a warehouse in Edwardsville, Illinois. Many employees said that they received virtually no emergency training. I mean, yeah, because that costs money, I bet. Or that just takes too much time. And time is indeed money for them. The House Oversight Committee recently launched an investigation into Amazon workplace safety policies. Oh, I'm sure on paper they have policies. Like, that's not the issue. I'm sure on the outside, like on paper, there are safety policies. But whether or not those policies get deployed and how and realistically are they even being used is the real question, right? Because I'm sure on paper it all looks good. It's kind of like how when folks try to organize and they find themselves terminated or laid off, it's never because they tried to organize, right? That would never fly. It's always some BS like, oh, they broke I don't know, X company policy, and that's why they're being fired. It has nothing to do with, coincidentally, the efforts that they've been putting forth to unionize the place. No, it has nothing to do with that, because that would be illegal. No. They broke company policy X, Y, and Z, and they just make up that BS on the spot. So I'm sure that Amazon absolutely, on paper, has safety policies. In 2020, workers at an Amazon fulfillment center in Bessemer, Alabama, tried to join the retail wholesale department store union. The attempt became an unusually high profile, attracting the attention of President Biden, who released a statement saying every worker should have a free and fair choice to join a union without intimidation or threats by employers. Yeah, I mean, that's true, but we kind of need some teeth behind that, right? I mean, we kind of need some teeth behind that, Jack. Where are the severe penalties or regulations for violating this? I mean, like, Amazon, at worst, for this incident, which they were found to be messing with the election in Bessemer, Alabama, the NLRB did find shenanigans. Did find that Amazon was engaging in shenanigans and fined them. But that's nothing. That's the cost of doing business, They already take that into consideration. Should they ever have to, like, pay fines or whatnot, they already take that into consideration. That's not punishment. The Bessemer vote failed, but the NLRB ordered a new election, citing undue interference. Oh, yeah. I mean, I could have... Yeah, they're jumping the shark there. Citing undue interference by Amazon, the Bessemer warehouse held the second vote that was counted last week. And while the initial tally favored Amazon, the vote was much closer than the previous one and will ultimately depend on the results of challenged ballots. Wow. Amazon released a statement on Friday saying it's considering filing an objection to the Staten Island Union vote alleging interference by the NLRB. What? Okay. Good luck. Good luck. Yeah, it just sounds like to me that they're very big mad. Very, very big mad. Very, very big mad. Here's an interesting article. So there's this constant narrative on the conservative side that, in particular with like murder rates and all this other stuff, it seems to... They seem to put the blame, especially with murder rates, on Democrat policies. Well, let's take a look. Republican politicians routinely claim that cities run by Democrats are experiencing crime waves that caused by failed governance. Okay, but crime rates are not the same as murder rates. The whole point that we're trying to... Hey, memo for the record. Howdy. The point here is murder rates, because that's what the assertion is by our good friend, Donald Trump. But a new study shows murder rates are actually higher in states and cities controlled by Republicans. Damn, so we should call these like Republican-run cities? Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that. We're seeing murders in all our cities and all Democrat-run. People are afraid to go out. In February, Senator Tom Cotton blamed Democrats for a 2018 law that then reduced some federal prison sentences, even though it was signed by Trump after passing a GOP-controlled Congress. Yeah, like, wait. Wait. If they're talking about the First Step Act, that was literally signed into law by Trump and passed through with Republican votes. It's your party who voted in lockstep for the First Step Act that led thousands of violent felons on the street, which I don't think that's exactly the case, who have now committed innumerable violent crimes. Okay. Yeah, like did Tom Cotton actually vote for the First Step Act? Can we find that out? Because that would just be the icing on the cake. Okay, so he voted against it. Okay. Yeah, he voted against it. Okay. Last December, Representative Dan Crenshaw told Fox News that America's most beautiful cities are indeed being ruined by liberal policies. There's a direct line between death and decay and liberal policies. Can you explain which exact liberal policies you're talking about, or are we just talking, are we just vague posting because, you need the buzzwords? You need those buzzwords. But a comparison of violent crime rates in jurisdictions controlled by Democrats and Republicans tell a very different story. In fact, the new study from is the third way center left? I don't think so. That's a generous characterization on that one. Vague posting? I think I've heard this one before. It's not mine. All right, just letting you know. Vague posting is not my is not my term. Okay. I did not invent that term. My park and recycling initiatives go green policies are really messing up my community. Right. Good ideas float to the top. True. That's very true. In fact, I saw a retweet of my argument that Marjorie Taylor Greene should only be called Representative Greene. Yeah, MTG is like way too much. It is exactly like Magic the Gathering, and I actually like that, so no. Shows that states won by Trump in 2020 have a much higher murder rate than those carried by Joe Biden. The highest murder rates are often found in conservative rural states. Damn. The study found that murder rates in 25 states Trump carried in 2020 are 40% higher than overall than in states that Biden won. The 5 states with the highest per capita murder rate are Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky, Alabama, Missouri, all lean Republican and all voted for Trump. Damn, there is literally a direct line between death and conservative policy. I mean, I guess if we want to play that game, if we really want to play that game, then I could just flip this around at this point, since we'd love to play these games, Representative Crenshaw, then yeah, I think that we can then say publicly that there is a direct line between death and conservative policies, I guess. Look at that. Unironically. I'm shocked that the details are the exact opposite of what they're saying. Usually, that seems to be kind of a pattern, right? Interesting. There's some examples of states Biden won in 2020 that also have high per capita murder rates, including New Mexico and Georgia, which have the 7th and 8th highest murder rates, respectively. And there are Trump-supporting states with low murder rates, like Idaho and Utah. But broadly speaking, they quote South, and to a lesser extent the Midwest, has more murders per capita than Northeast, Interior West, and West Coast. Those findings are consistent with a pattern that has existed for decades in which the South has had a higher rate of violent crime than the nation as a whole. Man, it's really stunning. We as criminologists have known this for quite some time, said Jennifer Ortiz, a professor of criminology of Indiana University Southeast. States like Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama have historically had high crime rates. Hmm. Are you gonna make a quote with that pattern? Yeah. Nope, they just made a Q cult. A cult. You realize the R's just blame the non-whites for the crime there? Yeah, they blame, anything but accepting some type of personal responsibility, right? You know? Criminologists showed that higher rates of violent crime are often found in areas that have low average education, high rates of poverty, relative modest access to government assistance. Those conditions characterize some portion of the American South, and for a good reason. Conservative policies, there is a direct tie to conservative policies that actually encourage this scenario, right? I mean, they don't like the funding of, social services and government assistance. They don't like that. They definitely are not big fans of education, that's for sure. They're not big fans of education, that's for sure. Which then kind of puts forth the scenario that creates, high rates of poverty. It's a cycle. It's a cycle that continues, right? And of course, it is true. This is true that obviously crime is highly correlated to socioeconomic circumstances, right? I mean, you alleviate those circumstances and crime goes down, at least significantly, right? I'm not saying that crime would just disappear, but you would definitely alleviate a lot, for sure. If you create the circumstances where people have a basic good standard of living, then crime significantly decreases. If you have a good system, a robust social safety net, a government who actually cares about their constituents, who actually is interested in alleviating the circumstances that would create high rates of poverty, a government that wants to encourage education, that would be the toughest of toughest on crime. That's how you be tough on crime, right there. You want to be the toughest out there on crime? Alleviate the circumstances that create this scenario, right? You want to be tough on crime? Create robust social safety nets. You want to be tough on crime? Make sure people have access. People have access to education, healthcare, food, housing. That's how you're tough on crime. Because those numbers, those crime statistics will plummet. I'm not saying it's going to eliminate all crime, but it certainly would. It would deal a great blow to crime. And another one would be to, I know this is like cliche, but to end the drug war, you know? Legalize and decriminalize. Man, that would do so much good. Decriminalizing and legalizing drugs would be a huge step. They are they are among the poorest states in our union. They have the most highest rates of child poverty. They're among the least educated states. They're among the states with highest levels of substance abuse. Right, because there's no support. Nothing. There's literally no support. All this all this is part of making sure people have food, housing, education, and healthcare. All of these things have that domino effect. They're among at least educated. They're among the states with the highest levels of substance abuse. All those factors contribute to people engaging in criminal behavior. Right. Take that away, and it is less likely, significantly less likely, that folks engage in criminal behavior if they have what they need, the resources that they need to help them, for example, when it comes to substance abuse. Then they don't need to engage, or they would be less likely, at least, to engage in any criminal behavior. They would just have access to programs to help them. I thought this was a good study, said Richard Rosenfeld, a professor of criminology at University of Missouri St. Louis and former president of the American Society of Criminology. Told Yahoo News about the third way report. In Republican states with Republican governors, crime rates tend to be higher. I'm not certain that's related to the fact that the governor is a Republican, but it's a fact nonetheless. Right. But the whole point of this is to kind of meme on the idea that this narrative that Democrat-run cities have all these problems. First of all, no, that's not unique to Democrat-run cities. Using their words, not mine. And B, that has nothing to do with this statement here that our good friend Representative Crenshaw said, and Donald Trump. That's just so dishonest. So dishonest. America's most beautiful cities are indeed ruined by liberal policies. There's a direct line between death and decay and liberal policies. Well, you know what? I can say the same thing with a study behind it. Actually, I can make this assertion with a study behind it, and corroborated by multiple criminologists who study this. It's literally their job. So yeah, I guess the reality is, Mr. Crenshaw, is that you know what? There's a direct line between death and decay and conservative policies. Yep. This is not just merely an opinion that I fabricated in my head. But there's actually something behind it. Which is way more than I can say for your statement. Which is much more than I can say for your statement. I wonder what the facts over feelies people feel about that. That's the real question. I wonder how the facts over feelies people feel. I'm kidding. Do you really think Ben Shapiro would ever talk about this? No way. Do you think Ben Shapiro will ever have the integrity to talk about studies like this? No way. No way. Here's a perfectly normal and hinged person.
We decided that we were going to take Colorado back. Colorado is a very liberal place, and so we've got a thing in place. And during the last election cycle, we started with the school boards, and we singled out 5 districts in Colorado, and we put out 417,000 voter guides. The GOP got incensed status because we asked, how do you feel about men competing in women's sports? What do you think about critical race theory? And they did not want those things to be public. So we asked all of the candidates, Democrat and Republican, and we put out these voter guides. And out of 178 people that we were supporting, we got, I may get this wrong, but it was somewhere around 78 or 80 of them elected. And so we're beginning to make an inroad, and we've got some big plans in place this year. I sent a spy into our public school system.
Yeah.
To check out what the books are. And I got a list of, I think it was 54 books in the
Here's where it gets really good.
Woodland Park school system, and this is a small place, 7,000 people in the community, and there's 54 homosexual books that we know of.
54
and I got
guys.
A list of that, and I've got people that are on my staff that go to every school board meeting, and as soon as we get them looked at so that we can defend what we're saying, we're going to stand up in the school board.
Can we get a name?
We now have a number of our Caris graduates that are on.
Can we get a name, like a title? Not one? Not a single example? Not a single example of what that even means? Like, what is a, quote, homosexual book? Like, what does that even mean? This asshole needs to keep his shit politics in Texas? No, this needs to be talked about because this is going to be all over the place. You see, these folks understand. And this is what, is so important to stress. These folks understand the importance of organizing and capturing local, city, and state governments. That's my point of bringing this up. And this is what they're doing. I know as a Colorado resident, this asshole, are they assuming that the sexual preference of those poor books? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what a homosexual book is. Like, I have no idea what that is.
School board, and we've got Christians in places, and praise God, we're seeing things change.
Yeah. So all those folks who are like taking over like the school boards and stuff like that, yeah, this is what they want. We've got, quote, Christians in place. Makes sense? Makes sense as to what's happening. Hey, Androma, how's it going? Are we learning about Christian nationalists? No, even this is a one step forward. This is a one step forward. Here, I'll play the last bit, which is the relevant part. Here. Last 20
I
seconds.
got people that are on my staff that go to every school board meeting, and as soon as we get them looked at so that we can defend what we're saying, we're going to them look staff that go to every list of that. And 54 home place, 54 books in the Woodland Park school system, and this is a small place, 7,000 people in the community, and there's 54 homosexual books that we know of.
54. And trauma. 54.
And I got a list of that. And I've got people that are on my staff that go to every school board meeting. And as soon as we get them looked at so that we can defend what we're saying, we're
Yeah, this is Colorado.
going to stand up in the school board. We also ran, and we now have a number of our Charis graduates that are on school board. And we've got Christians.
We've also ran in local school boards, and we've got candidates.
In places, and praise God.
And we've got Christian in places. Praise God.
We're seeing things change.
We're seeing things change. Yeah, this doesn't, it doesn't bring up some massive, titanic red flags. The last thing that needs to happen is a wave of Christian nationalist, like radical evangelicals like this guy. The last thing that we need is a wave of these folks in school boards. I've worked at a camp for 2 summers where that was the nearest town. Huh, interesting. So yeah, this is I mean, we've been talking about this for a while now. This is the plan, and it seems to be successful. It seems to be quite successful. From their perspective, as they've got plenty of folks who are getting elected into school boards. Funny enough, these are the same folks who are crying about indoctrination. who are crying about indoctrination. No, these folks don't care about indoctrination. They care about their indoctrination. They want to be the ones to do it. They want to be the ones indoctrinating. Can you link this tweet? Yeah. Mazumi, how's it going? No problem. All right, one more, and then we're moving on.
The lengths that Dr. Collins and Dr. Fauci went to convince people that COVID-19 originated naturally and that these blanket lockdowns were necessary, and to silence dissenting voices from prominent scientists, prove that they were more interested in hiding their role in financing communist China's gain of function research than they were in helping their nation. They are treasonous. They should be hanged on the first gallows. They turned on their nation to hide their crime. They are guilty of treason. The lengths that Dr. Collins...
Yeah. These are the same people who this guy wants on school boards to fight checks notes. Yes, to fight indoctrination. Okay. The memes write themselves, folks. Alright, so third IPCC working group just dropped yesterday. They did a whole press conference, which I think we might have to watch, and then go over the actual summary. But we're still working on the first on working group 2, so that might have to wait. But nonetheless, here we go. Let's take a look at this kind of, article summary, I guess. No problem. It's now or never. World's top climate scientists issue ultimatum on critical temperature limits. The fight to keep global heating under 1.5 degrees Celsius has reached a now or never territory, according to a new report released by Monday by the world's leading climate scientists. It's not like a new... Okay, that's a weird way of phrasing it. The IPCC report has been under works for quite some time. I would probably use the term latest report. I would probably use the term latest report. According to the latest report released by Monday by the world's leading climate scientists, the highly anticipated report, delayed slightly due to last-minute disputes on exact wording of the document, says curbing global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels would require greenhouse emissions to peak before 2025 at the latest. No, that's not happening. In 3 years, folks? Okay. Yeah. Does anybody get the feeling that across the world there's some kind of urgency into making this happen? Because I don't. I don't see this being like the top of the list across the world. In which case, no. Before 2025, the latest. Yeah, that's in 3 years, folks. That's just not happening. At the same time, methane, a potent greenhouse gas, would also need to be reduced by roughly 1/3. Also not happening. The UN's IPCC said it is almost inevitable that humanity will briefly surpass the critical temperature threshold in this scenario of 1.5 degrees in this scenario, but it could return to below this level by the end of the century. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's any way getting around it. I don't think there's any getting around it. The question is, how aggressively do you want to deploy resources to make sure that you mitigate and limit the impacts, right? That's the question, really. It's now or never if we want to limit global warming to 1.5. IPCC Working Group 3 co-chair Jim Skea said in a statement accompanying the report, without immediate and deep emission reductions across all sectors, it will be impossible. Well, unfortunately, my friend, there's no sense of urgency, nor are there policies being deployed at this time across the world. And there are some countries that are, actually taking some like palpable action, but across the board, it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem that there are sufficient urgencies across the world, across governments around the world, because that's really the problem, right? We can't. There is no piece of this puzzle that gets solved without government action, and unfortunately, as we see, the lack of action of the Biden administration, it doesn't look like there's a sense of urgency, really. I mean, there's literally so little that I can point to from the Biden administration to indicate that we even are in play with this. The 1.5 degrees Celsius is a goal. Is an aspirational temperature threshold described by the 2015 Paris Agreement. It is recognized as a crucial global target because beyond this level, so-called tipping points would be more likely. Right. That's the whole point. The idea that we tried to stick with this goal is because if it becomes above that level and it continues to go beyond that level, and we cross the tipping point that we cannot reverse, there will be, the dominoes will start falling if they haven't already. And once that starts, there's no real stopping that. Okay? I'm glad to see you're calling out the powerful on the IPCC. There's no... These folks are scientists. I'm not really calling them out necessarily. I'm just saying that it is true what they're saying. It's just not happening. It has been feared that Russia's unprovoked onslaught in Ukraine may eclipse the findings, despite the fact that the report could be the last comprehensive assessment of climate science while there's still time to secure a livable future. A sense of normalcy. Because once these dominoes really get going, because, when we get to the point where we are unable to grow food in the same way, we are unable to get water, unable to irrigate crops, and therefore they start failing. When people feel water scarcity to the point where it becomes, large areas become uninhabitable, when tens, if not hundreds of millions of people are forced to leave because they just can't live for whatever reason, whether it be because they can't grow food, they can't grow crops that they, farmers can't grow crops, they can't find jobs, they can't operate, or B, it's just literally too hot to work in outdoor labor, or it's literally impossible to live, for example, in like coastal areas. What do you think is going to happen? This report marks the third installment of the IPCC in less than 8 months, with one additional document scheduled for later this year. And that seems interesting. I never knew that part. This may be a sign that truly things are more starker. Given the fact that if they feel the need to do another paper or report, a document, I should say, as another Hail Mary to attempt to put this in the front and center, yeah, that's not good. I just sent that tweet to a friend of mine who went to school in the CO town. I'll let you know if I hear back. Nice. Yeah, please do. The previous volumes have assessed the causes and impacts of the climate emergency, but this one focused on mitigation. Yeah, because I think it's very clear, beyond a shadow of a doubt, of what's going on, right? The reality is what we can do to mitigate this, right? It's not about... Yeah, we know what the problems are here. It's about mitigation. What can we do? The first thing is we're on the wrong track. True, said Julia Steinberger, an ecological economist and professor from Switzerland's University of Lausanne. In terms of a trajectory, also in terms of policies, we're just not on track for 1.5 or even 2 degrees. Yeah, because, well, I mean, like, what policies? What policies can we point to wholesale that are even remotely putting us in any direction towards that? I mean, what policies can we point to? Well, none. None. Right, Semiote. If anything, we're going the exact opposite. If anything, we're going the exact opposite. You're right. Truly unbelievable in the face of all of this data. And, crickets. Net zero by 2050, let's go! Listen, net zero by 2025, we can do it, okay? It's gonna happen in 3 years. It's gonna happen in 3 years. We're gonna have, we're gonna have the, we're gonna have the Democratic Party come in and and begin to work on this issue tomorrow, right? They've got this. Kicking into long grass while adding fuel to the fire policy. Yeah, it's completely the opposite. We're going the exact opposite. Exact opposite. And there's no real palpable policies across the board indicating that we have even kind of acknowledged this whatsoever. I mean, in the last article that we read, they're actively trying to tamp down the language of the final report. So one could only imagine this final report, the stuff that we're reading, is the tamped down version, is the edited version, is the conservative outcomes. This is the conservative end of the spectrum, right? The reality is, at this point in time, we're not even on track for 1.5 or 2 degrees. And we all know that after it hits that threshold, that's, things start going down from there. Steinberger, a lead author of the IPCC's latest report, described that the warming that global emissions must peak at 2025 at the latest is a bit of a bombshell, given how little time there is to prevent the worst of what the climate crisis has in store. Right, like, the fact that, like, we just keep continuing to realize, obviously the more we study this, the more we come to the realization of just how effed the situation has become. The more we realize, well, we failed. We failed, and things are going to be a little bit worse than we thought. Hey, Darknet, how's it going? The term of the day, public trust, a concept that democratic society in which people hold the power and then politicians we choose must be respected. Listen, Jack. I promised no malarkey. But all there is malarkey. We're not talking about transition anymore. That ship has sailed. or more like failed to sail. Instead, the report is very much focused on transformation. I really think that the report contains elements of a positive turn. For the first time in human history, we have technologies available to us that allow us to live comfortable lives without consuming ginormous amounts of energy. Yeah, it's almost the first time that we can possibly think about pathways to get beyond the age of combustion, and wouldn't that be exciting? What? Innovation? Moving technology forward? The IPCC's latest report follows a series of mind-bending extreme weather events. I love how this is like posed as like mind-bending when scientists have been, ringing these alarm bells for decades. But, now that we see it in our face, it becomes mind-bending. Shame on the media. Mind-bending extreme weather events worldwide. For instance, in just the last few weeks, an ice shelf the size of New York City collapsed in East Antarctica following record high temperatures. Yeah, by record high temperatures, meaning 70 degrees above normal. That's what record high temperatures mean. 70 degrees above normal. Maximum. Following record high temperatures, heavy rains deluged Australia's east coast and submerging entire towns. Yeah, just the normal stuff, Hey, Spread It Forward, how's it going? It's spending my mind. My mind is bent. Yep. The catastrophic scenario prompted the largest mass youth climate strike since 2019, last month, with hundreds of thousands of environmental activists from 93 countries on all continents marching under the banner People Not Profit. The Fridays for Future movement called for climate reparations and justice. IPCC chair Hu Sung Lee said that the report shows humanity is at crossroads. I mean, yeah, we actually use that exact terminology. We're at crossroads, folks. Yes. Yeah, if only they had been warning us for decades. These absolute these clowns of scientists just coming in hot at the last minute telling us how effed we are. If only there had been, decades and decades and decades worth of data. If only, like even hundreds of, over 100 years ago, if only there was like the inkling of an idea that maybe the burning of coal and CO2 would have an impact on the environment. If only there was like articles that we can point to in the 1900s that this has been like a concept. If only, I mean, my mind bent has been thinking this is normal for a runaway society who champions intellectualism and tramples on human rights. Yeah, who champions anti-intellectualism and tramples on human rights. True. If only there had been like numerous reports pointing to the direct causes of the situation we find ourselves in here. If only. Humanity is at a crossroads, but the tools and the know-how required to limit global heating are available. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like nobody's disputing the fact that we can, right? We absolutely could. I'm encouraged by climate action being taken in so many countries. There are policies, regulations, and market instruments that are proving effective. If these are scaled up and applied more widely and equitably, they can support deep emission reductions and stimulate innovation. Yeah, this is like a soft way of saying we can do these things. However, that requires political will. And unfortunately, my friend, that's not in the cards. The UN Climate Panel has said that to keep rising global temperatures under 1.5 degrees Celsius this century, emissions from warming gases must be halved by the end of the decade. IPCC scientists have also repeated calls for substantial reduction in fossil fuels to curb global heating, now at 1.1, above pre-industrial levels. Reacting to the IPCC findings, oh, here we go, and known climate scientist, tell me, John Kerry, tell me what you're going to do, please. U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry, said it represents a defining movement for our planet. The stakes are clear. Complacency will be met by irreversible and unthinkable impacts from climate change. Yes, Now, explain to me, Mister Kerry, what exactly is the policy prescription that the United States is going to take um, in regards to addressing this issue? Can you point to a specific policy proposal that will radically move us in that direction? That will palpably move us in that direction? Are you going to propose so you're supposed to be like a climate envoy, right? Special envoy at that. Is there like meetings that you are undertaking in terms of like policy decisions that can bring nations together to solve this problem? What foreign policy proposals have you brought to the table? It's seen as pointless or senseless to talk about climate change with our peers. In reality, it's the only thing we should be concerning ourselves with. I mean, like, yeah, sure, it's definitely one of, if not the existential crisis that we are facing. For sure. Yeah, special envoy on climate. Hey, Eric, how's it going? We have to let the market decide. True. Best I can do. Best I can do is capitalism. Maybe Biden can threaten climate change with regime change. Yeah, maybe we should try that. Have special climate envoy John Kerry have very stern talks about have very stern talks with the leadership of climate change, and threaten climate change with regime with regime change if it doesn't solve itself. Yeah, that sounds like a feasible foreign policy prescription. The report says that the average annual global greenhouse gas emissions were at their highest levels in human history from 2010 to 2019. I mean, yeah. But the rate of growth has since slowed. This coincided with the increasing evidence of climate action, but the report warns that limiting global heating to 1.5 will not be possible without immediate and deep emission cost reductions across all sectors. These reductions will require major transitions in energy, the report says, including a massive reduction in fossil fuels, widespread electrification, improved energy efficiency, and the use of alternative fuels such as, well, green hydrogen specifically, even though that's kind of okay. Cities are thought to offer significant opportunities for emission reductions. The report says that this can be achieved through lower energy consumption, electrification of transport combined with low emission energy sources, enhanced carbon uptake, and storage using nature. Climate change is the result of more than a century of unsustainable energy and land use, lifestyles, and patterns of consumption and production. True, said IPCC's SKA. This report shows that how taking action now can move us to a more fair and sustainable world. Wow. That face when you realize laissez-faire is the climate change policy. Oh boy. Degrowth is the only thing that can save us. Yeah, I believe that it is definitely I think that degrowth is certainly a massive piece of the puzzle too, right? I mean, the whole idea is to move away from fossil fuels. And part of that is going to require the concept of degrowth. Oh, 100%. 100%. We can't free market our way out of this. It's too late. Like there's no incentive or realistic expectations that the free market is going to get ourselves out of this situation. When it is the free market, the way we run things, it is what put us in this precarious situation in the first place. It's like saying, I understand that, an arsonist causes fire, but that's okay because we should we should make the arsonist in charge of fire policies, Yeah, consumption is a huge factor. It is a piece of the puzzle. There's just no way. We can't, continue down this path. It's just not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. And clearly the free market has failed to address this problem because it's not interested in addressing this problem. It's interested in generating profit at the end of every quarter. That's the only thing that's it is a free market, or as that is used in heavy air quotes, is designed to do. There's never been an example of a sustainable capitalist society. We're seeing that here, huh? It all looks nice and good, and then you begin to realize where this is heading. It all seems nice and good, and then you realize where this is heading. This is unsustainable. But hey, we got to make a few oligarchs more richer. That's cool. We got to make a handful of oligarchs richer. I mean, yay? It was just at the small price of... It was just at the small price of, the planet. But, those numbers are going to really look good at the end of the fourth quarter. Hey Kevin, how's it going? Yeah, so just to give you a brief summary, the IPCC is a UN body of 195 member states, 195 countries, that assess the science related to the climate crisis on behalf of governments every few years. It is currently in its sixth assessment cycle and having published its first major report in 1990. So, yeah, from the 90s, in terms of a concerted effort, a actual international concerted effort of international climate scientists. This has been known undisputably since 1990, and governments across the world, including ours, have completely disregarded this and actively suppressed this. Oh, this isn't necessarily funded by necessarily the government. I think this is an international cooperation. So unless I don't know, there's some massive there's got to be some massive coordination to do that. No, I don't believe that at all. I believe that people should be completely aware of what's happening. If anything, these type of studies are underfunded. My friend from CO said the school district got back to me. Basically, what's bound to happen? Yeah, Jesus. Given the generally conservative demographic that is susceptible to that kind of rhetoric, teachers are trying to include education about LGBTQ issues and race issues in the curriculum, and the school board is trying to ban those things. Seems like it has been bubbling under the surface for a while and finally popped off last year. Wow. UN funded, right? That's the whole body itself. Interesting. Thank you, Entroma. We should be scared. Yeah, we should be. The realization should prompt us for action. Really, that's what this needs to tell us. It needs to prompt us for action, right? It needs to motivate us, not I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. The first installment of the IPCC's sixth assessment report, published in August, focused on the physical science based on climate change, basis of climate change. The findings made it clear that limiting global warming to 1.5 would soon be beyond reach without immediate and large-scale reductions. Yeah, that's been like a common theme, right? That's been like the common thing. Like we need to do action now, yesterday, 10 years ago. All right, so what are we, like 50 years of very solid confirmation of global warming for very little to no action? Oh yeah, if at that, I mean, like, we've had the inkling of the concept. We've had the inkling of a concept since the industrial age of like the early 1900s. We've had the kind of notion that, hey, maybe this coal it can't have an effect on the atmosphere. We've had that inkling of a concept since the early 1900s, and I mean, like, as far as I can tell, like the most solidified damning like evidence that started to come out was probably um after WW2, I think, like that we started to realize like just how severe the problem might become, kind of. We're like, well, there's something to be looked into here. And I mean, even fossil fuel companies from what, the 60s all the way up until the 80s had from the 60s to like the 80s, even the fossil fuel companies had done studies internally and realized, holy yikes, this is actually a problem. But we can't talk about that because we gotta continue to produce profits for our shareholders. And then in the 90s, the IPCC was established, and here we are. Oh, like known for like a fact, like this is like 100% anthropogenic and all that. Maybe around there. Certainly the fossil fuel companies became aware that it was them who's causing this issue around that time. Anywhere from like the 60s to 80s. The fossil fuel companies came to the realization of just their role, of how deep their role is. Do you know you have subtitles on screen? Yeah, I should. Exxon famously had conducted primary research that showed CO2 emissions would lead to anthropogenic climate change. Right. That's the famous study. I think that one in particular with Exxon was in the 80s, wasn't it? That particular one was in the 80s. So for sure, by then, we, without a shadow of a doubt, would know for sure. Like, there's no disputing that necessarily at that point. Oh, it was way sooner? I thought it was late 70s? You know what? We can just take a look here. Oh yeah, in the 70s and 80s. Okay, so like about 10 years they had this knowledge. Yeah, here we go. Mind you, this article, I also want to point out that this article was published in 2015. Okay? That was about 7 years ago. A new investigation showed the oil company understood the science before it became a public issue and spent millions to promote misinformation. That in and of itself is enough to like have heavy-handed government action at that point. Exxon was aware of climate change as early as 1977. 11 years before it became a public issue. According to recent investigation from Inside Climate News, this knowledge did not prevent the company, now ExxonMobil, and the world's largest oil and gas company, from spending decades refusing to publicly acknowledge climate change and even promote climate misinformation, and approach many have likened to the lies spread by the tobacco industry. Yep. And just to be clear, like, the tobacco industry, let's be honest, the tobacco industry is still alive and well. The tobacco industry is still alive and well, so for all intents and purposes, that whole shtick, right, there was a reckoning for the tobacco industry. Was there? Oh my god. The people in charge of these companies knew well before the 50s in science and research of carbon. Wow. In 1754, the first carbon detector. The UN Security Council is live. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll have time to cover that. In 1824, Jean-Baptiste, a former mathematician working for Napoleon, was first to describe Earth's atmosphere retains warmth on what otherwise would be a very cold planet. To help explain it, he compared the atmosphere to the glass walls of a greenhouse. Yeah, okay, so Eunice Foote, an American scientist, discovered that carbon dioxide and water vapor cause air to warm in sunlight. In 1856, she presented her findings at the meeting of the American Association for Advancement of Sciences. Nice! Okay, so yeah, I was right. In the 1900s, they realized that increasing carbon dioxide was increasing temperatures. Like this is where we started to no, I'm sorry, 1896 is when we started to realize that we're evaporating our coal mines into the air. He added this would eventually have an impact on the atmosphere that could lead to a warmer planet. So the inkling, the idea of the concept has been thought of or conceptualized in the late 1800s. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, in the mid to late 1800s. Yeah, this is right in line. Yeah, so we've known, we've had this idea for a very long time, to say the least. And then the correlation, increasing carbon dioxide, increasing temperatures. British coal engineer George Callender compiled all carbon dioxide measurements made over the previous 100 years and found that the amount of CO2 was increasing. He also found that temperatures were rising. His conclusion was that this was a good thing. The return of deadly glaciers should be delayed indefinitely. Oh man, how bad. Oh man, that's okay. I mean, by the 30s they had the proof. Okay. Meaning 1930s? Roger Revelle, a U.S. oceanographer, and Hans Suess, an Austrian-born chemist, realizing that carbon dioxide from industrial sources must be building up in the atmosphere, wrote in 1957. Thus, human beings are now carrying a large-scale geophysical experiment of a kind that could not have happened in the past or be reproduced in the future. Yeah, okay, so I was right here. The fact that we were drawing conclusions about anthropogenic, that connection, especially from the industrialization, started to kind of be tipped off in the 1950s too. And Bell Telephone Science Hour addressed how our actions could be changing Earth's climate. Even now, we may be unwittingly changing the world's climate through waste products of our civilization. Due to release of factories and automobiles every year, more than 6 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which help the air absorb the heat from the sun, our atmosphere seems to be getting warmer. Seems like, something's going on here. Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. 1938, George Callender, exactly. Colander? I don't know. Yeah, so here's where we started to have that connection between the CO2, the amount of CO2, and temperature rising. Here, we began to realize that human beings are the ones that are carrying out this experiment. On the only planet that we know and can can habit that would sustain our life. In 1958, Charles Keeling started making daily measurements of the amount of CO2 and the air atop Mauna Loa, Hawaii. That first March day, he found 313 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the air. Measurements which are still made each day, I think this is a typo, reached 400 parts per million in 2013 and continue to climb. Yikes. Oof. That was I didn't scroll fast enough. That was an easy clap. Darknet with the quick draw. By the 50s, we knew we were fucking shit up bad. Yep. Oh, but it didn't change because the incentive isn't whether or not this is sustainable or whether or not this material, affects us. That wasn't the goal. The goal is to continue to generate profit. So of course, it's not going to change unless that the gazebos are everywhere. Is that a new Q conspiracy? Is that the latest Q drop? Too many gazebos? Yeah. In 1988, NASA climate scientist James Hansen testified before the Senate Energy and Natural Resource Committee, stating that the climate was warming, greenhouse gases are responsible for warming, and we are responsible for the growth in these gases. Wow, so definitely by the late 80s, we had climate scientists testify in front of Congress that this is definitely our problem, and we're definitely to blame in terms of messing this up. And at that point in time, you could say that Congress had the action, or knowledge, I should say, had the knowledge, but refused to take any action. So it's not incompetence. It's not incompetence. It's not that they didn't know. It's 23 cm. What? It's not who other people are saying it is? Oh, like the troll? I don't know. Troll would be trolling, but they don't tend to last very long here. That's the best thing you can do. Move on. Just move on. The fact that 100 years went by and nothing changed says it all. We could have been making large transitions to other energy productions and kickstarted alternative energy research decades ago. Oh yeah, that's a funny part about that. I think, I want to say in the 50s, there was like, oh man, I forgot where we went over this too. It was like a purposeful policy done by the U.S. government. This happened here, so I can only talk about, like what I know here, that they purposely refused to fund solar. And this happened decades ago. They cut massively a lot of funding for solar a while ago, and because they were scared. They were scared about energy independence. We've known for a very long time. And in fact, I'll pull it up, actually. I know it's here somewhere. I know I have it here somewhere. But as soon as it's profitable, it's too late. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the problem with the, That's the problem with allowing the free market, right? To attempt to solve this problem. That's the problem with allowing the free market to solve this problem. Because by the time it takes for it to become profitable, or by the time they come to the realization that it is even a possibility to continue to make money, because it is true, you can make money. You can make money by investing in green energy, moving forward into new industries, right? You could, they're definitely profitable, but they're not as profitable. And I mean, I gotta explain to shareholders, so it's not a problem. I've got like $1 trillion industry. I don't need to move. Jeez. Weird champ, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay. In 1992, we became aware of ocean acidification. And that is a massive, massive part too. Because if ocean acidification continues and the marine ecosystems fail, so do we. Fam, so do we. So do we. Holy yikes. Both industries were conscious that they're... Wait. I need to go over this last piece right here before we move on. Both industries were conscious that their products wouldn't stay profitable once the world understood the risks. So much so that they use the same consultants to help develop strategies on how to communicate with the public. I mean, this is criminal. I'm sorry. How is this even... The ocean acidifying means faster ice melt. It also means mass biological marine death. Yep. And once marine ecosystems start failing, then... Whew. That's right. Experts, however, say they aren't terribly surprised. It's never been remotely plausible that they did not understand the science. As it turns out, Exxon didn't just understand the science, the company actively engaged with it. Yeah. That's right, spread it forward. All these dominoes that kick off once we reach or cross certain tipping points, will just... it's a domino effect. It's a domino effect, that's what it is. And once the dominoes start falling, they won't stop falling. It's freeing more methane from Siberian permafrost, another positive feedback loop. Yep. Okay, so we need to move on. Because we've got to continue. Come on, where are you? Aha. think we left at 61. Oh no, we're past that. Yeah, actually right here. Right here. Wait. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm trying to shut off the alerts and I accidentally clicked on replay the alert. Okay. Aha. Okay, good. I thought for a second there was another one coming. I was like, no. Another one? Nope, just having a boomer moment. Okay. Page 61. Ecosystem protection and restoration can build resilience of ecosystems and generate opportunities to restore ecosystem services with substantial co-benefits. Because, it turns out that we need these things to live. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Very good. And provision of ecosystem-based adaptation. Ecosystem-based adaptation includes protection and restoration of forests, grasslands, peatlands, and other wetlands, and blue carbon systems, mangroves, salt marshes, and seagrass meadows, and agro-ecological farming practices. In coastal systems, nature-based solutions, including ecosystem-based adaptation, can reduce impacts from human settlements until sea level rise will result in habitat loss. Yeah, until that happens. Jesus. High rates of warming and drought may severely threaten the success of nature-based solutions such as forest expansion and peatland restoration. Ecosystem-based adaptation is being increasingly advocated in coastal defense against storm surges, terrestrial flood regulation, reducing urban heat, and restoring natural fire regimes. Wait, is this the regime change war that we need? Nature-based solutions, including ecosystem-based adaptation, can therefore reduce risk for ecosystems and benefit people, providing they are planned and implemented in the right way and in the right place. For example, coastal wetlands and ecosystems can also be seriously damaged by coastal defense designed to protect infrastructure, i.e. seawalls. Increasing the resilience of biodiversity and ecosystem services to climate change includes minimizing additional stress or disturbances, reducing fragmentation, increasing natural habitat extent, connectivity, and heterogeneity, maintaining taxonomic, phylogenetic, and functional diversity and redundancy, and protecting small-scale refugia where microclimate conditions can allow species to persist. High confidence. In some cases, specific management intervention may be possible to reduce risk to individual species or biological communities, including translocation or manipulation of microclimate or site hydrology. Adaptation also includes actions to prevent the impacts of extreme events or aid the recovery of ecosystems following extreme events, such as wildfires, droughts, or marine heat waves. In some cases, recovery of ecosystems from extreme events can be facilitated by removing other human pressures. Understanding the correct characteristics of vulnerable species can assist in early warning systems to minimize negative impacts and inform management intervention. Available adaptation options can reduce risk to ecosystems and services they provide, but they cannot prevent all changes and should not be regarded as a substitute for reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. High confidence. Ambitious and swift. Global mitigation offers more adaptation options and pathways to sustain ecosystems and their services. High confidence. Even under current climate change, it is necessary to take account of climate change impacts which are already occurring or are inevitable in environmental management to maintain biodiversity in ecosystem services. High confidence, and this will become increasingly important at high levels of warming. Sheesh. Ecosystem-based adaptation measures can reduce climatic risk to people, including from flood, drought, fire, and overheating. High confidence. Yeah. It turns out, it would behoove us to address this issue, when it comes to just our health, because, I don't know about you, but I do like, the finer things in life. I don't know about you, but I do enjoy the finer things in life, like, living. I also enjoy being able to get water. I also enjoy not having to suffer a risk of a heat stroke. I know it's just like I just do indulge myself sometimes in the finer things in life. I also enjoy being able to get food. That too, you know. Ecosystem-based adaptation approaches are increasingly being used as part of strategies to manage flood risk at the coast in the face of rising sea levels and inland in the context of more extreme rainfall events. High confidence flood risk measures that work with nature by allowing flooding within coastal and wetland ecosystems and support sediment accretion can reduce costs and bring substantial co-benefits to ecosystems' livability and livelihoods. High confidence in urban areas, trees and natural areas can lower temperatures by providing shade and cooling from evapotranspiration. High confidence. Restoration of ecosystems and catchments can also support water supplies during periods of variable rainfall and maintain water quality, and combined with inclusive water regimes that overcome social inequities, provide disaster risk reduction and sustainable development. High confidence. Restoring natural vegetation cover and wildfire regimes can reduce risk to people from catastrophic fires. Restoration of wetlands could support livelihoods and could help sequester carbon. Medium confidence, provided they are allowed accommodation space. Ecosystem-based adaptation approaches can be cost-effective and will also provide a wide range of additional co-benefits in terms of ecosystem services and protecting and enhancing biodiversity. Hey, how's it going, Dr. Dragon Rider? Ecosystem-based adaptation and other nature-based solutions are themselves vulnerable to climate change impacts. True. Under high emission scenarios, they will increasingly be under threat. Nature-based solutions cannot deliver the full range of benefits unless they are based on functioning, resilient ecosystems and developed taking account of adaptation principles. There is a serious risk of high carbon ecosystems becoming sources of greenhouse gas emissions, which makes it increasingly difficult to halt anthropogenic climate change without prompt protection, restoration, adaptation, and mitigation at a global scale. Yeah. Potential benefits and avoidance of harm are maximized when nature-based solutions are deployed in the right places and with the right approaches for the area with inclusive governance. Lamau. Okay. Taking account of interdisciplinary scientific information, indigenous knowledge, and local knowledge and practical expertise is essential to effective eco-based adaptation. High confidence. There's a large risk of maladaptation where this does not happen. Medium confidence. For example, naturally treeless peatlands can be afforested if they are drained, but this leads to loss of distinctive peatland species as well as greenhouse gas emissions. It is important that nature-based solutions approach to climate change mitigation also take account of climate change adaptation if they are to remain effective. Yeah, I mean, you can't just put stuff that doesn't belong and change the ecosystem. You may end up doing more harm than good. And here is the visual for that. Healthy ecosystems, good. Degradation of ecosystems, bad. Maintaining biosphere integrity is essential for biodiversity, human and societal health, and a precondition for climate-resilient development. Ecosystems support food and water security and human health, well-being, and livelihoods. You know, like I said, the smaller things in life. The small things in life, like, you know, water security. Why are the cows on the right-hand side? True. Fire, who drew this? Restoration of one of the most ecosystems. Oh, the degradation of one or more ecosystems significantly reduces the services provided. Restoring services provided by other ecosystems and restoring ecosystem health as a part of societal development is a key transformative narrative for climate-resilient development. Various adaptation options in the water, agriculture, and food sector are feasible with several co-benefits, high confidence, some of which are effective at reducing climate impacts. Medium confidence. Adaptation response reduces future climate risk at 1.5 warming, but effectiveness decreases above 2 degrees Celsius. Resilience is strengthened by the ecosystem-based adaptation, high confidence, sustainable resource management of terrestrial and aquatic species, medium confidence. Agricultural intensification strategies produce benefits, but with trade-offs and negative socioeconomic and environmental impacts. High confidence. Competition, trade-off, and conflict between mitigation and adaptation priorities will increase with climate change impacts. High confidence. Integrated, multi-sectoral, inclusive, and systems-oriented solutions reinforce long-term resilience and high confidence, along with supportive public policies. Good meme. All right, here's the last. Here's the link to the technical summary. Unfortunately, folks, it is 11:28, so I do have to get going. Thanks, Yellow King. Oh, Yellow King, gifting a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Gifting a tier 1 sub to Darknet. Yeah, I turned off all my alerts, just in case. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you. Alright, folks, unfortunately, that is all the time I have today. Thank you so much. Oh, look, there they go. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Folks, if you don't already follow the channel, make sure you hit that follow button on your way out. It does help us out. Go join us on the YouTubes. Takes 5 seconds to hit that big red subscribe button. Join the Discord. Make sure you spread the word far and wide. As always, folks, thanks for covering the environment so much, dude. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Casual callouts. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, folks. I do gotta get going. I want to thank you guys here for being here with me today. Thank you, Darknet. Thank you, Spread It Forward. I appreciate that. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Thanks, Yellow King. Alright, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.